Welcome back to Liquid Lunch.
Hey, that was a lot of warning. That was a lot of warning.
See, I don't need to know a lot.
I almost
Marla.
picked my nose. You know, like, jeez, wow. All right.
That would have been good.
Yeah, that would have been really good, honey.
That's what
really
the kind
good.
of stuff that goes viral
I
on
want to
YouTube.
do, they have that MTV
just
show
put
with
that-
the guy and the girl and then the goofy guy, and then they do highlights of the best of all week, and they just talk about things with a split screen like this.
Do they?
I want them. Oh yeah,
They
it's
do
so
that?
popular, and that's why I've been trying to push this.
Aren't you? You must
and
be in
push this.
seventh heaven here with the split
because
screen
I think
now.
it's so smart. It's so smart and it's so visually appealing and stuff. But
Yeah.
I think they should do the highlights of the. Anyways, yeah. God, we could be as popular as them. God forbid.
Why wouldn't we be? As who? They're only popular because they're on TV.
Yes, but maybe,
Wait till the.
your following might be even bigger.
Wait till they go into the.
Your incredible following might be even bigger.
Wait till they go into the entirely full internet broadcast environment.
I
Marla.
think
They're gonna
everybody
be in big
watches
trouble
them.
because
Yeah,
she's gonna
right.
wanna. Okay.
All right.
Enough of that.
Enough of that. Who do we
We've
have?
got Brian Baumal here. Brian, great to have you back on
Hello.
the show.
Nice to be here.
Hi, Brian.
Hello, Marla. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Do you guys know each other?
No, I'm just being
No.
polite, as you
You've
should
never
be
met
too.
before? I thought I was being
I
polite.
thought you were too.
Never met her before.
Okay. Well, she's my Thursday co-host.
And that's all I am. That is
A
my
Thursday.
only credit
So-
in life.
As soon as it comes to 12 o'clock on Friday, you vanish into the ether, then I guess.
She vanishes
Until the
after
following
2
2
p.m.
o'clock on
2
Thursday.
p.m.
2 p.m.
That's it.
Okay.
My only validity in life is from noon to 2 p.m. on a Thursday. Other than that, I am nothing.
Ah.
Even though
And
she-
I am no one.
Reminds me of a line from a Michael Ondaatje poem.
Uh-oh, I don't want to know.
I don't want to know either.
Good. Here we go.
Okay, we're here with Brian Baumal, and Brian, I guess today we're talking about the psychology of self-help, right?
Yes. Yeah, we can talk about that for a bit. I write a blog post, which is getting a fair bit of attention, and I had thought maybe a way of changing up my blog is to talk not so much about not so much about self-help per se, like not to tell you how to go and improve yourself, but rather inform people about the psychology of self-help, to understand what the theory is behind it and understand how self-help works, and then individuals can go and make the best self-help choice for themselves. So if they want to see a therapist after understanding what self-help psychology is, they can do that. If they feel a coach is more appropriate for them, they can do that. If they even just feel picking up a single book and reading that is appropriate for them, they can do that. But at least people will have an understanding of how self-help psychology works and pinpoint the kind of service they need.
See, I didn't even know there was a psychology to the self-help. I thought it was just, someone figures out something, writes a book about it, and then other people who have problems go and buy that book.
Well, you see, this is part of the topic, exactly the topic that I want to address, and it's called the sort of "I've done it" syndrome. Now you just do it my way,
Yeah.
and life will work out great.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I often say to people, well, you're not Donald Trump. You're not Bill Gates. You're not Steve Jobs. And these are facts of life. I'm not going out and running a marathon tomorrow. So one of the things I want to educate people about in general is that someone who's been there, done it, and says, just do like I, well, the question you have to ask yourself is, are you really like this person enough so that you can do what they've done?
That's interesting. I'm just reminded
Oh, that's a great
of-
point.
Yeah, I'm thinking about so many self-help books. I mean, everybody reads them. It's got to be one of the biggest
There are a dime a dozen.
category of books
I
out
could write
there.
a self-help book.
Well,
You could?
anyone can. And that's why I want to write a self-help book about self-help. Kind of like Kramer's in Seinfeld writing a coffee table book about
Right.
coffee tables.
You should
Which,
get
which
it-
I thought was a fabulous idea. Did you see that episode? I thought that was
Of
a
course I saw
fabulous
that
idea.
episode.
Yeah, he was just motioning. He said I
Well,
should actually put the book on legs.
Do
and-
what Kramer did,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. So I don't know if there is a psychology of self-help per se, but I want to describe self-help, and that's one of the phenomena, as I say, that I look for, which is the person who goes out there and says, just do what I did. Well, it's not quite as easy as that, because if it were, then everyone would be
Then
following.
everybody, then we wouldn't need the next year's self-help or the next year's self-help. If any of these books really worked, we
Right.
wouldn't need 200,000 other ones that keep coming out.
And this is another fact that I would like to bring up, which is the fact there is no one method for every individual. Because again, if that method actually existed, I wouldn't be in business, my colleagues wouldn't be in business, we would all be following that one individual. So what works for one person, whether therapy works for one person, may not work for another person. And self-help is a continual process. You are always self-improving, and if you find you are not getting help from one provider, don't be afraid to pick up and leave. You may learn something about yourself along the way, but there is no one magic solution for everyone. I actually have a rule, I call it the 10% rule, which is 10% of people that enter into any endeavor. Oh, you already know that? No.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging, yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyone that enters into any endeavor, let's call it self-help, like 10% will probably exceed very, very well. So 10% who follow someone do what I do, 10% of those people may do very well. Another 40% may have to struggle and still do well, and half probably won't do well at all. And it's probably the same with the individuals that come through my office. 10% will do great. Another 40 or 50% probably have to work hard at what I do. And then the remainder, it may not work for them.
Do you have a question here?
Well, you know, I'm just thinking. It just struck me this moment, Brian.
You sure look like you were thinking.
I was thinking.
I can smell it, actually. The gear is turning.
I saw a play last night, and it was about psychotherapy, if you can believe that.
I don't believe
And
it.
I did.
Okay.
And it was just interesting that one of the themes of the play was that the patient had two psychotherapists, both had very different approaches to what they thought was best for the subject.
Sounds good.
And I'm just wondering if...
was it a different, was it gestalt over
I
young?
don't know. I'm not expert
I
enough
thought they said
to be
it.
able to
Okay.
tell you about that. But
Sure, so.
But when it comes to self-help, Brian, what do people need to know then? Because it seems to me what you're saying is that no matter what choice you do, whether you're doing self-help, whether you're coming to see you, whether you're choosing another methodology, people are going to be subject to this 10% rule.
That's my own observation, but I think you have to work. I think you have to work at your self-improvement very hard, and I think you have to know when something isn't working for you, or when you need a change. Is just time to leave. So that's something they need to know. Another thing they need to know is their basic expectations of what they want from self-help. So as a therapist, I get a lot of individuals that come in, and many people are very articulate with what they want. So for example, someone will say, I want to forget my past. And I'm like, all right, well, here's a mallet, hit you on the head, get a concussion, and we may hit the right spot in order to give you amnesia to forget your past. One cannot forget their past unless there's a chemical intervention or a brain injury.
Electric shock therapy. But that does more recent memory. I think.
What we're looking at, and another goal that people have is to get rid of their anxiety, for example. And getting rid of your memory and getting rid of your anxiety are not possible in general. What people have to do is learn how to manage their past and learn how to manage their anxiety. The amount of anxiety that one feels can be reduced. It can be controlled. It can't be eliminated per se. And similarly, as I pointed out, one's memory cannot be erased. We have to learn how to integrate these things. So knowing what is possible in self-help and knowing what isn't is another thing that individuals should be
to be realistic about your limitations.
Yeah.
And if someone says you can be whatever you want to be, and the person says, well, I want to be 6 feet tall and 90 pounds and be a ballet dancer, and they look like me, you have to say, you know what, that's not going to happen.
Right, and it's not about being negative, it's about being realistic. And about
I've
being
always
what
said
you
that. I
could-
said, I'm not negative, I'm just being realistic.
And I think one of the other things that individuals need to look for, because unfortunately, most self-help has to be marketed to individuals. Books have to be marketed. I have to market my therapy practice. Many forms of self-help need to be marketed, and you really need to know what to look for when buying or consuming self-help. And I always say that if someone says, I can cure you, I can help you, I can support you, I can inspire you, you really need to be very, very careful of those individuals.
I agree.
I mean, I might as well ask you, Marla, like, what is it that you notice about individuals that say things like that?
And I have had people say that to me. I've had therapists say that to me. I've had medical people say that to me.
And they were wrong, because they didn't cure you at all.
Can I answer that, mister? No, it made me feel, well, I'm not easily swayed. And anyone who approaches me with, I have the answer to everything, and I have the answer to save you, that makes me back off. I am much more inclined to deal with somebody who says, this is what I have to offer. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. It's not your fault if it doesn't.
That's right. And
okay, because I have had people, professionals, who say as soon as it doesn't work, they turn it around and blame you somehow. And it goes from the medical staff saying your energy's wrong, or whatever. It's so many things. Anyways, we won't get into that, but
in some cases,
it doesn't help.
Understanding that it's not your fault is indeed part of what people need. But I tell people to be wary of those that say, I can inspire you, I can let's just say, that quote, I can inspire you. First of all, chances are the provider hasn't gotten over their narcissism.
Exactly.
Yet. And second of all, what we are really doing is we don't want inspiration from outside. We want it from inside as well. So a question that you should ask your provider is, you know what, yeah, I may need help now, but what is your long-term plan so that you build inspiration in me so that I can do it on my own?
Right.
And you should really get a good answer from that. And the answer should not be, well, just by me inspiring you, you'll eventually learn to do it on your own. That's not, I don't believe that's a good answer or a good approach for individuals. So these are the kinds of things that you have to look out for in self-help. And that's why I want to talk about the psychology of it, because I believe it applies from when you get a self-help book all the way through to seeing a therapist or a psychologist.
Yeah, absolutely. And nothing's, there's so many gray areas in a lot of the self-help books that, you could read and going, yeah, that's me, or yeah, that's her, and then it's like, oh, that doesn't fit, and that doesn't fit, and that's why sometimes a human being is much more helpful in interpreting certain things, because there's nothing cookie cutter, about these, they don't work as cookie cutters.
No, cookie cutter approaches really don't tend to work at all, or they work for only 10% of individuals. So you want a provider that can be really, really flexible with you and knows how to work with you, and really knows how to walk the talk when they say, well, I create a different therapy for everyone, which is something that I try and do. But I've got to be honest with you, it's a challenge to really address the individual in front of me and put myself and my own ways of being on the back burner to deal with them. It's a big challenge to do, and something that a self-help provider should always be learning. So cookie cutter approaches definitely don't
definitely
work.
This could be even more damaging than not. I have a question about gestalt, and it might not. Here's the question. It was said to me by a therapist a while back. I had told her that a friend of mine always says, I'm so proud of you, I'm so proud of you. Mm-hmm. And she says, how does that make you feel, Marla? I said, well, I know she's trying to say something nice, but it makes me feel like she's above me, that she's saying she's proud of me, and it kind of like who are you? Like, I'm proud of you too, you know. But, you know, like, the most important thing is I'm proud of myself. That's
Right.
the most important thing.
Right.
And because I wasn't looking for your, you know, it's like, who are you kind of thing. And I thought that she said that that issue that you just described is a gestalt belief about proud. Now, so I looked it up on the internet, and I couldn't find a connection between proud and gestalt. So can you tell me about that? Where did that come? Somebody's theory of some, you know, psychological leader, preacher, connected the proud with it being an inappropriate, more demeaning thing than great.
I don't know if I could put it directly or frame it in Gestalt terms. Maybe I'll
Is it connected with gestalt, though?
well, to make sure I understand the question, is it what the person said to you and your reaction to it? Is that connected to Gestalt?
No,
or-
she was saying one of the, I don't know what the word is for, what was gestalt? What do you call that person? What was his job?
You mean Fritz Perls, the founder of it, or
Freud. What do you call him? Do you call him a psychoanalyst?
psychoanalyst?
Okay,
Yes.
so all these, she was naming a psychoanalyst
Right.
or a father of whatever.
Father of Gestalt that said.
Who said that, oh, that's an interesting point because that's part of their philosophy is they don't believe in. So I'm just asking, where did that belief come from where it's not cool to say, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you, if they're not your parent?
I think the belief comes it may have been a piece of literature that was referenced in particular, and I actually may have read it, but the founder of Gestalt therapy, Fritz Perls, does talk about the fact that when someone keeps saying to you, I'm so proud of you, I'm so proud of you, it's exactly as you pointed out. There's a certain amount of pity that goes on there. There are really two things. I mean, first of all, someone can say, oh yeah, I'm so proud of you, and then yes, it creates a disequilibrium between two individuals. On the other hand, though, what you may have to ask yourself is, can you take in the pride or not? You know what? Even if the person is a phony baloney, is there some bit of truth in it for you?
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't have a problem in saying, yeah. What I usually say now is I said, well, I'm proud of me. That's what I always say. Well, I'm proud of me.
And I could say, well, that's what you're saying, and I can come back to the therapist's question, which is, how are you feeling when you say that? I don't want to turn this into a therapy session,
not.
but you know,
Maybe we should.
My point is that it's more important.
I could do it with you then too.
Do you feel left out?
No.
It's just that I feel proud of myself, and
Yes.
sometimes somebody who's half my age who's telling me I'm really proud of you is like, and hasn't accomplished or experienced life
Right.
in the way I have. It's like, you know, and they refer to themselves as higher than most people.
Just go like this.
It's
yeah.
bothersome.
Just go like
It
this.
is. You know,
It's bothersome.
it is bothersome.
But I just want to know what psychological, you know, who promoted that that's not cool. Where other people say that's other theories and think that's great.
I mean,
But you don't know.
No, it all depends on what the subtext of it. If you have picked up on that someone is putting themselves above you, then you're right. That's not cool. When and when a parent constantly praises their child, the child's going to say enough is enough. You're praising me just because I wake up in the bloody morning.
Well, not some of the children I know who are now adults. What happens is they end up expecting that from everybody else once they've left the family home.
Right.
And they're disappointed because they realize
They're going to have to read some
They're
self-help
not.
books.
Now, this is what I
now, some people absorb it, Some people don't resent it, they absorb it.
Remember what I said about sort of the individual or self-help expert that says, I can support you, I can lift you up, I can inspire you. Well, if a parent has constantly fed their child, congratulations, you woke up today. Congratulations, you opened a door. Wow, you picked up a fork. The person is not learning to take pride in themselves. I'm not saying that parents should hold back their pride, though there are some theories that talk about that. But I mean, for crying out loud, just treat your child like a human being. You know, at what point do we stop congratulating someone for opening the door? Would you want to be congratulated? Hey, you pushed instead of pulled. Good job. You know?
I've seen some parents actually. The children are now adults, and they created monsters of narcissism, actually.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things that I talk about, or that I'm thinking of in terms of this discussion on self-help, is why so many people need self-help. And there are really only two answers. Number one, society in general, and number two, how we parent. Those are really the only two factors that influence us in an early age and lead to the issues that we have. And I have a 3.5-year-old son, so I'm fairly involved in parenting, and I'm silently critical of a lot of parents, maybe even myself, as put myself in that category. But I think there's a lot of work that has to be done around how we parent our children. I think again, talking about self-help and everything, I think one of the issues that people have in consuming self-help is they'll skim right off the top. They'll take the easiest part of the theory and apply that. So a parent will say, oh, I shouldn't praise my child, won't praise my child. Or I should overpraise my child, I'm going to overpraise my child. And I can guarantee you that is just the top of the iceberg. And the theory supporting that is huge. And I think that parents need to begin to understand the theory a little bit more. We all need to understand the theory a little bit more so that we can begin to decide how we're going to act and the self-help that we're going to consume.
And don't you think there should just be a healthy balance for most things?
Oh yes, absolutely. Healthy
balance. And also for the person to reflect when you have your children, and I'm sure you will soon, that people, I'm going to give you what my parents didn't give me. And then sometimes they go so over the top, or whatever. It's like they're reacting from their childhood, and they're going to make up for what they didn't get.
And I admit to doing that.
Is that what happened to you, honey? Is that what explains?
I just think you're raising some good points here, Marla. I just think we'll all be a lot better off when the state raises all children, right, Brian? That way, the state can use all these techniques, employ professionals.
He talks like this when he gets itsy.
That's actually that's.
You don't like that idea, or maybe you like it.
I think it's a very quick way to dehumanize our we don't want people to be perfect. It's actually very, very funny. One of the things about being a therapist is, do you want a therapist that's always been perfect throughout their lives? Or do you want a therapist that's been through the school of hard knocks and can understand what it is that you're going through? Yeah. So I'm not sure I would go for the state.
The state.
No.
Well,
raising.
No.
Maybe we can talk about that on another segment here. But Brian, just getting back to the self-help stuff.
Yeah.
So like right now, for example, because you're offering a strategy for people that feel like they need some sort of help or something like that, right? So who out there right now would be ideal candidates for the kind of approach that you're talking about?
Well, in terms of understanding what self-help is about, I really think anyone that feels the need to pull a trigger on consuming self-help services. So as soon as somebody says, you know what, I need a therapist, I need a coach, I need a book, anyone standing in the self-help book or self-help aisle or psychology aisle of Chapters or Indigo or an independent book retailer should really think about understanding what it is that they're getting into. Mm-hmm. I equate it to an insurance policy. You've got you're in good hands with Allstate. You've got all these wonderful marketing premises about these insurance policies, and then when you've got to sign the policy, you realize you're signing a 20-page document. This is excluded, that's excluded. You've got to get a medical physical, and you realize that you aren't necessarily in good hands with Allstate. The hands of Allstate will smack you on the face if they find one thing wrong with your blood work.
Again? the state should be providing
Oh, boy.
insurance too.
All right, now listen. I may agree with that point.
Yeah.
Just because I agree with the state providing insurance doesn't mean I agree with the state raising children. But the psychology of self-help is much more complicated than we are led to believe. It's not impossible to understand, and I think it's very interesting to understand. I think people have a desire to understand it by virtue of being human, but it is just more detailed than what we have been led to believe. And when one wants to consume self-help, I think they need to understand it a little bit more than they do now. That's sort of my bottom line.
All right. So those people that are considering buying a self-help book, and I bought some great ones, and I haven't benefited from them, obviously.
Yeah, well,
You know
look
what I
at,
mean?
there's,
Because of the 10%
yeah.
rule. Or,
I mean,
or in my
I'll give
case-
you one more quick example. I am not a large fan of the coaching model per se.
What do you
But-
mean by that, the coaching model?
Well, I'm not how coaches work with their clients, like the model that a trained coach uses to improve their clients. It's not something I'm a fan of per se, but coaches tend to get results fairly quickly. For
You mean life coaches?
yeah,
Oh,
life coaches.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about life coaching. Let's
Okay.
just confine it to life coaching. Not a big fan of the model, but part of the model produces results
Yeah.
fairly quickly. Whereas someone who comes into my office is not going to get results. They're going to go deep as opposed to getting results
Right.
quickly. So I would at least like individuals to know, like, what is it that you want? Do you want a deep self-exploration of yourself where you're not going to see results quickly? Then please go and see a therapist. If you want results quickly, go and see a coach and know a little bit more about the benefits and the negatives of seeing both a therapist and a coach. So there's that aspect of it as well. Like, when do you want your results delivered to you? I know everyone wants them tomorrow, but I think people realize they can't change like that.
Well, don't you think, and Hugh, don't you think there's a difference between results? You can do quick results, but you might not have the full understanding of what to do next time or how to stop the pattern.
Right, or how those results were created
In the
you
first
in the
place.
first place. I mean, we could go down, in that respect, we could go down the road of cults, which can create results almost instantaneously.
Exactly.
But it's been done by having one person put their thoughts into you. That's what the state would actually be
Right.
doing. You can go down that road where it's one person putting one thought into everyone. That thought may be great. It may be benevolent
I
and
promise
kind.
happiness. I
Right,
promise
I promise-
serenity if you join me. I've seen it.
Right.
Serenity,
I've
yeah.
gone to the meetings. I've seen it, and people go yabba dabba do,
Mm-hmm.
and they say I'm not lonely anymore. They've provided me with workshops all week. I have things to do. So, but what was the problem to begin with?
Right, and what was the problem to begin with? And one of the things that scared me is I went to, just to sort of check the market out, I went to a seminar provided by like an international trainee guru type of thing, and I heard a number of individuals who had gone through his seminars talk about what they achieved, and it was scary, almost word for word. The people were saying the same
Yeah,
benefits.
the same
Well,
thing.
I learned how to help more people. I learned to increase my game over and over, and I'm just like going, that's scary shit if you don't know that that's happening.
I've heard
for-
that from
It's like the
for
neural
Miss
neutralizer.
America.
What's that?
What? Sorry? What'd you
Like
say?
the neural neutralizer.
In Star Trek.
Yes, exactly.
I think that was episode 15.
You always get
Oh,
it.
don't get. I was actually watching Star Trek before I came over. Yeah.
that's
Really?
great.
It's on
Oh,
at
you get to
noon
do
on-
that. See,
And-
I can't ever watch
And
it.
do you know who produced Star Trek?
I heard
Desi
that,
Lou.
and I even knew that before.
Desi Lou.
Desi Lou
Desi Lou.
produced.
Yeah,
produced,
it's all tying
it.
together.
It's all coming full circle.
Yeah. So what do you?
Imagine a mind emptied by
By that
thing.
Who did it? Who was the main character? Was it an X
What?
Star Trek? Was it an X Enterprise?
No,
Uh,
it was on a mental. Actually, it's
Yep.
interesting. It was on a mental health planet.
Yeah.
And the gentleman played by the actor was James Gregory, and I can't remember his
Does
character
he have
name.
gray hair?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not Simon Van Gelder.
Simon Van Gelder was his assistant.
Okay.
Played by Morgan Woodward. But nonetheless.
Memory.
Nonetheless, ask me, however, what the biggest lake in the world is, and I've got no clue.
Oh, you heard that.
But it is very interesting. It is very interesting, the premise of that show and how it relates. It was one individual trying to brainwash other individuals and just sort of have them come out as carbon copies of one another and take the sort of the easy way out. And that episode showed the flaws in that in that way of thinking, the abuses that could cause. Again, the character in that show that was implementing these mind control techniques had huge narcissism problems. You know, someone who's just so self-centered, and you've got to watch out for that in your self-help expert. You've got to look for that.
All right. So it sounds like a unique custom approach is probably the best way to go.
Now, are you having a book out talking about this?
It's just a topic I was thinking of to write a blog or to as a theme for a blog, as a theme for a book. Yeah.
Have you written about this already?
I've just gotten the gem of.
So you just wanted to share your idea with us?
To an extent.
Oh,
yeah.
I think definitely it should be on your blog.
Yeah.
Are we going to get your address?
Yeah, we're going to get all that information right now, Brian. Right? Where is that blog?
That blog. Well, it's on the internet here.
I hear they got that on computers now.
I think they do. I actually think now you can get it even wirelessly, apparently.
Oh.
But my website is www.torontotherapysite.com, and there is a link to the blog on there.
Perfect. TorontoTherapySite.com.
Yeah.
Brian, always a pleasure.
Likewise.
To have you on the phone or on the show.
On the show, yes.
And we should get you back. Just talk about Star Trek.
Yeah.
By the sound of it.
You
get to watch it every day.
Just the original series, my friend.
Yeah.
I will go through every episode with you.
Okay.
If there's anyone who knows me who's watching this, they're going, "Geez, I still can't believe the guy actually likes Star Trek."
I don't know why they wouldn't.
I don't think I could trust somebody who doesn't like Star Trek.
Exactly, especially the original series. Okay.
Especially the original.
Yep.
All right, Brian Baumal, thank you so much. TorontoTherapySite.com. Guess that's it for the show, Marla. Jimmy couldn't make it today.
Well, you know what? When he shows up, you can still film him and cut it and insert it into your next show, you know? Because they always do that, filmed previously.
Jimmy thinks that's a good idea.
That's from Seinfeld. Do you know that one?
Jimmy knows it's from Seinfeld.
Jimmy says you shouldn't pee in the shower. Jimmy really likes you. Oh, he does? Yeah.
That's a good impression of her, actually, of Elaine.
Everybody thinks I'm Elaine. I wish I was. I wish I was Elaine.
All right, okay, that's it for the show,
Anyways,
everybody.
It was a great show.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Great show, everybody.
Yeah,
great technical crew, great intercutting and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Great split
We
screen.
had Ariel on the cameras today.
She was fantastic. Fantastic.
Okay.
That was great.
All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow. We're going to be doing another live show tomorrow.
But you won't be seeing me because I'm just Thursday.
She's
My
gonna
life
vaporize
comes alive
right
from
now.
noon to 2 p.m.
Morton's for martinis.
Yeah.
For her.
Yeah, Morton's Martinis. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, see you tomorrow. Noon, more liquid lunch right here at ThatChannel.com. See you.
Everybody's got a story they tell, and everybody's gotta do it in their own way. But words have the power to create and to devour songs. Please be careful what you say. Be careful what you say. If life's a magic mirror, then my quest is to see clearer. Wipe the dust from my mind and my tongue. Transcending through the violence, I seek solace in the silence from which all things have come. And as this new year approaches, let's soften our focus and blur the periphery. Recognize our voices unexpressed in a choice in a freedom reality, and take responsibility. Are rising, can I our systems be aligning as we soar into the center of the eye.